What was your reaction to Myles Garrett's accusation against your quarterback?
The most recent one this past weekend, I took offense to it, to be quite honest with you. When it first transpired during the season, we don't have a lot of time to pause and fight battles of that nature. We said our piece. We were completely cooperative with all parties involved, the Cleveland Brown organization and the National Football League office. And then we had to move on. We had another game awaiting us, and we wanted to be singularly focused. But when these allegations returned this past weekend, I thought it was appropriate that Mason is properly defended. It was a thorough investigation done by us and the National Football League. I don't think that was represented during that piece. These accusations are serious, not only in terms of Mason Rudolph's character, but his professional pursuits. Nobody on that field, as a member of the Cleveland Browns or the Pittsburgh Steelers, corroborated what was said by Myles Garrett. That was founded by us and the National Football League, and at no point during that piece this weekend that was stated. Myself personally, I was on the field immediately after that altercation and subsequently after the game. I got a lot of personal relationships within that organization over there in Cleveland. At no point did anyone within that organization come forward and say, Mike, heads up, we got a situation here, or something of that nature that you would expect that comes with those type of allegations. So I fully support Mason Rudolph. We as an organization fully support Mason Rudolph. And to be quite honest with you, we were hacked off with what we saw this weekend. Not specifically for Myles Garrett. He's been in the lane that he's in. But what was displayed by ESPN in that panel, the way that the situation was presented, I don't think was fair to Mason Rudolph, and that's why I'm here today.
And now, time to get in the huddle with your host, Charles Richey, here on the Mass Steel Podcast.
This thing belongs to Mr. Rooney, belongs here, and let's see if we can bring this damn thing back here next year, along with the Super Bowl. Here we go.
The game is over. The Pittsburgh Steelers did it the hard way.
With the 10th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Devin Bush, linebacker,
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to this edition of the Mount Steel Podcast. Yours truly, Charles Richey We Begin, ready to continue into the 2020 offseason right now. Remember, the next start of the new league year, which will be March 18th. That's a key date for everybody to pay attention to in their calendars. That will begin the 101st season of the National Football League. Everybody by 4 p.m. Eastern time must be under the salary cap limit by that time. So again, 4 p.m. Eastern time, as the top 51 rule begins, all clubs must be under the 2020 salary cap prior to the 4 p.m. New York time, which is Eastern time, of course. And those of you who just saw hearing right there, that was, of course, Coach Mike Tomlin. He was on TV today on Alliance. Rarely comes out and speaks, but he does every now once in a while with Stephen A. Smith on First Take with Molly Carib and Max Kellerman. And he was alluding to what happened, as everyone may recall, which happened about 3 months ago with Mason Rudolph and Myles Garrett with the scuffle that happened. Remember, the Cleveland Browns were already winning the game. They're up 21-7. And, of course, Mason Rudolph and Garrett were starting to get into a scuffle, gets thrown to the ground. Some words were said, I'm sure, but I'm not so much sure possibly if it was a racial slur. I think anytime when you're in the heat of battle like that and the physicality, I can expect crazy and some emotional feelings getting in there and something being said. I mean, you're fighting to protect yourself. Plus, they also had a frustrating night too. Let's not forget, it was a lot of turnovers in that game. They lost turnover battle, pretty much lost a key game. And if you ask me, I mean, I look at one of those games at this year. Probably a reason probably they're not in the playoffs. I mean, if you really think about it too, before they did start rolling, I mean, the defense was great and stuff, but still, when I look back to it, I could definitely point back to one of those games as we take a look at it. But we got a whole lot of other stuff to get in here today. Also, like I said, remember a week from today, beginning next Monday, February 24th, will begin the NFL Scouting Combine. The NFL Scouting Combine, which will be taking place, like I said, next Monday. That's going to be once again in Lucas Oil Stadium. And that's going to be taking place for the following Monday, which will be March 2nd as well, will conclude. And I got to tell you, there's one interesting headline in there, too. I know I mentioned this yesterday. Thank you for those of you who's taking to see my new updated info. Working on some exciting stuff around putting more info out there so you can see more stuff about the podcast as well as my shows you catch here. But TMZ Sports was that 93.7 the fan put up from a report by TMZ. Former receiver, NFL receiver, and of course, Steeler and Patriot receiver, not so much Raiders, Antonio Brown, he plans on showing up during the scouting combine to make an appearance. More in particular to try and clean himself up, try and make an impression on some executives, scouts, owners, you name it. But I gotta say right now, I mean, this is a guy who definitely clearly wants back in football. And he's doing a lot of desperate means. And like I said, I just feel when you're at one point, I think like the week before the Super Bowl, when you're ordered to wear a tracking vest on you that was court ordered, after everything that went down with the mother of his children and his kids being separated from him, you would figure that everything was taken care of. I guess not. The problem is right now, I mean, this is a guy who just doesn't seem like he could cope. I mean, he's always going to make his voice known, definitely into singing. There are a lot of people who's lending an ear to him, but he just can't seem to get that he's going to still be in the news somehow, and that he wants to put his side up there. He just wants to be a director of traffic that, with social media, he still looks at it as a business somehow, and the way he's got to promote himself, and he still feels like he's obligated to stay on top of that, which I kind of like somewhat disagree the way he's handling it. But at the same time, too, I mean, listen, I mean, Mike Tomlin was asked earlier today by Stephen A. Smith if he felt like there was be any chance of Antonio Brown coming back to the Steelers, they would be like somehow interested in that. They would be welcoming of that. Here's what he had to say. This was also too. So I'm gonna play this clip as well for all you to hear. This is Mike Tomlin with Stephen A. Smith on First Take earlier this morning.
Having you on the live national television in front of me, Coach, I'd be remiss in neglecting to ask you about Antonio Brown, a former player of yours. He's been very, very contrite as of late, apologetic to you, apologetic to the Steelers organization, specifically apologetic for Big Ben Roethlisberger, and obviously that coincides with him looking for a job. Would you and the Steelers consider bringing Antonio Brown back in light of the mea culpas or the contrition that he has displayed?
I'll say this, once a Steeler, always a Steeler. We had great success over the course of 9+ years with Antonio. We're always going to be interested in his growth and development as a man, and we'll be open to assisting him in that, but we have no current business interest at this time.
How has Ben Roethlisberger?
And there you have it right there. I think well said by Mike Tomlin. You can definitely tell. I mean, he feels somewhat sorry for Antonio Brown. And like I said, I think the most classy thing he said, once a Steeler, always a Steeler. But you even heard at the end, too, is that they have no interest in doing any business with him at this time. And I think that's very well said by Tomlin. I mean, he's obviously a guy who still wants to see him do well and wish him well in his endeavors. But, I mean, let's face facts. Like I said, this is the last time I'll talk about Antonio Brown. We're going to move on. Sorry if I'm annoying anyone with it. But you got to understand, you got to get your priorities straightened out first, pal. You got to do some stuff where you're taking yourself accountable fully. Make sure you're ready. You're not going to try to be so outlandish. And we'll see where it goes from there. But other than that, let's get ready to get into some other stuff, too. I mentioned before we started the show, too, Mark Kaboly of The Athletic, PGH, was writing, too, an article not too long ago. And he was mentioning how some players on defense, more particularly guys like Terrell Emmons, TJ Watt, were a little bit disappointed with the defense. They didn't do enough to be great. And one of the things that was mentioned in there by, TJ Watt, who even bounced off what Terrell Emmons was saying when you look at it. Because here's one of the comments by Terrell Emmons. We never did anything great. We did a whole lot of good things. We made some good plays, but we didn't make too many great plays, even though we had the stats. I guess this is something that we could work on this offseason, something we have to build off and be able to take that next step. We're doing a lot of good things, but not a lot of things great, and that's what we want to do. And I think that's very well said by a guy like Terrell Emmons, who's actually be going into his third year. Obviously, he knows the expectations, what this organization is when you put on that uniform, playing for those fans, playing for the Roonies, and what it means to be a Steeler right there. And, I just think he definitely said all the right things there. I just feel right now where you got to look at it now, and we'll find out. But, yeah, I think for right now, but, you can't really fault them too much. Obviously, they got a little cute, against the Bills, but that was more so like the offense finally, once again, rearing its ugly head in a performance where they could have had to win 2 out of their last 3 games down the season. Remember, just a few moments ago, I still look at that Browns loss as a key reason why they're not in the playoffs. But when you got to look going forward, TJ Watt was even saying, too, that he believes we need to take over a game and completely shut teams out fully. We really didn't play. We didn't really get any zeros on the board. We didn't shut teams out and control the game defensively. And that's what really sets defense apart, especially when you get the takeaways. You want to lay the goose egg on teams and make sure you help the offense out as much as you can. Well said right there. And real quickly, since speaking of shutouts right now, can someone real quickly feel free to look up the Men of Steel Facebook page. If you guys are new to it, if you guys want to look me up, just type in Men of Steel Podcast. You'll see a logo of a guy ripping off a shirt. It has a Pittsburgh logo on there. And then once you hit the like button, you can just search for your Men of Steel Podcast or at Men of Steel Nation. I'm currently streaming live on my Instagram as well, Men of Steel Nation, and my YouTube channel, which is Men of Steel Podcast. I'm going live on those platforms currently as we speak. And right now, I got a trivia question for you guys. If you guys want to call in, please don't hesitate to pick up the phone and call in on the show. Love to hear from you. Again, the telephone number to be reached for the show is 312-209-2232. Again, that's 312-209-2232. I definitely want to get some phone calls with you guys down the road. Please don't hesitate to call. That's what the show is all about. Or if you guys want to catch the live stream, make some comments, and interact that way, that's fine too, but I love phone calls just as much. So here's my question to you, Steel Nation, all the fans watching this podcast. Can you name me the last time the Pittsburgh Steelers had a shutout? Okay? Name me the last season and who was the opponent. And that's all I need to know. Okay? I know the answer. If I don't see any answers in the stream, I will answer it toward the end. I got Becky joining us here on the Massimo podcast. Hey, what's up, Becky? I hope you had a great weekend. And speaking of which, once again, I hope everybody had a tremendous Valentine's Day weekend. Like I said, I hope everyone got a chance to spend it with their loved ones, make it memorable. And once again, too, since I had Chris McSorley on here about a couple weeks ago, I want to say once again, congratulations. And once again, happy belated 10-year anniversary, February 15th. Well, it was actually the 14th more so, but the 15th was officially. But they had their 10-year anniversary show on Friday, on Valentine's Day, commercial-free from, I want to say 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And congratulations to all the talent out there. The shows I like to listen to on there is a fan morning show, which is hosted by Colin Dunlap and Chris McSorley. Chris Mack, who I just spoke to a couple Wednesdays ago. And then, of course, you also got the second show on there. You got the Cook and Joe show. I want to say that's from 9 a.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern, or 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll confirm that in just a second while we're going on. Then also my other favorite show I like to listen to on there, it's on Saturdays, gets my juices flowing, every Saturday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Time. It's the Bob Pompiani Show right there, hosted by Bob Pompiani. And here we go. So, yeah. So, my bad. So, it's actually 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Cook and Joe Show. And it's 4:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. It is 5:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Time for the fan morning show. They have the early fan morning show, and then they have the regular fan morning show on at 7:40 a.m. to the close of the show with Colin Dunlap and Chris McSorley. So, again, happy anniversary to you guys right there. Like I said, the question once again, in case those of you who are missing it right now, when's the last time the Steelers had a shutout in the season? And I'll give you a little hint. That season also had multiple shutouts. And I was just talking about under Mike Tomlin. When was the last shutout displayed by the Pittsburgh Steelers? Like I said, if I don't see any comments or phone calls, I will say the answer towards the end right now. So let's get ready to rock and roll right here now. So some other stuff as we get ready to look into it right now. And that's the thing. I like that guys like TJ Watt, who on this team, I'm glad to see guys speaking up like this and really playing a little bit more emotion. But at the same time, too, you all know as well as I do, you need to have a legitimate offense. And right now, speaking of which, Ben Roethlisberger, he's supposed to be getting an update on his recovery status by a physician or a doctor. The latest I heard, this is from Ron Cook. A lot of people are still saying it's being speculated that nothing's been set up yet. But Ron Cook, who actually texted with Ben Roethlisberger, he's also the writer for the Post-Gazette, and you can follow him on Twitter at Ron Cook PG. He said that Ben Roethlisberger plans on seeing a doctor in California this Friday, February 21st. He is hoping by then that he will get cleared for light throwing sessions. more particularly with tennis balls. So that's one thing to keep an eye on right there. Just having some regular throwing activity. And I think that is definitely going to be significantly huge. I mean, if you can be able to find a way to do that. I mean, let's face it, because I hear a couple of guys, I'm sure everybody's heard on Twitter, which really kind of annoy me. I mean, what's been being said? I think you had we'll get to this guy in just a second here, but let's see. It was mentioned. I'm sure people saw this early this morning as we look at things, and even still, one of the guys trying to pull him up here, but let's see if I can find him, was saying that he believed that he felt Ben Roethlisberger quit on his team, and he didn't really want much part of it. Trying to find this guy here as we try and move along on things, but I just thought that was just totally outrageous for how it came across, how it got said. Even still, I mean, it's why now are we putting this out here? And I just think it's just totally. I think it was just well wrong right there. I mean, obviously, this is his first year without having a guy like Antonio Brown in this corner, or Le'Veon Bell for that matter. But it's just what can you say? I mean, I just felt it was ridiculous here from what I heard. And as we look at it, I mean, for going into it. But, yeah, let's see. Hold on 1 second. Sorry, guys, if I'm starting here. And as we took a look at, oh, here we go. Los Angeles Chargers linebacker Thomas Davis, he accused Ben Roethlisberger quitting on the Steelers during the 2019 NFL season. Like I said, which I found very totally derogatory by a guy like Thomas Davis when you look at it. I mean, Thomas Davis, who had similar injuries and stuff, I mean, throughout in his career. I mean, this guy who made the Pro Bowl 3 times and the All-Pro 1 time in a 15-year career throughout, who played most notably with the Panthers and finished out with the Chargers last year in 2019. I just feel like that was just wow, just ridiculous there. So we got it, but yeah, I just feel like right now, I mean, listen, I think what did it for Ben Roethlisberger is that he threw for 5,000 yards in 2018. Yeah, you're without Antonio Brown. We still had a smoking hot Antonio Brown with Juju Smith-Schuster. Even though around that time, Antonio Brown was getting a lot more sensitive, a lot more chippy than usual. But, I mean, with everything that was going down, you still had a decent connection where you're able to score points on offense. I mean, from a year prior, I mean, the last 2 years, they were struggling in the red zone for that matter. And they were the number 1 scoring red zone team in the NFL that 2018 season. So I think for him passing over 5,000 yards, especially with a guy who's about ready to turn 38 years old, I mean, when you did that, you were 36. What do you think is going to happen? I think injuries are going to start to be more meaner on your body as you get older in your career. I just feel he put a lot of pressure. He peaked the highest he could. And guess what happened? He had big-time tab to pay on his body for overworking himself, flinging that football. He threw a lot more times than he handed the ball off. I mean, at that time. I mean, a lot of that, too. You can also question when James Conner went down with a concussion on Thursday night against the Panthers that year. He hasn't been the same since, in my opinion. I mean, and he's been a little by little, hasn't shown any encouraging flashes of being the guy to fill Le'Veon Bell's shoes. Listen, the guy is definitely mentally tough. The problem is it's durability, physical durability. Can he be reliable going forward for this team? It does beg an interesting question here. And I'm just not so sure if we could say that about James. I mean, I was the guy who was giving him the nickname last season, Big Games James. I like the momentum that they were riding. I think around the time he had about 2 losses, and look what happened. You finished your season with a tie in your win-loss column along the way, and we're struggling mightily to take command of your situation, lose some huge key games. And I think a lot of that had to play a part of it. So when you depend on Juju Smith-Schuster, ready to take that next step, ready to be your new number 1 wide receiver, and all that, I think right now, at that point, Ben Roethlisberger is thinking to himself, I got a lot of work to do. I got a lot that I got to step up for this team. And I just feel like he was anticipating that. He had to do a lot more work with not only Juju Smith-Schuster, but guys like Deontay Johnson. You had to hope that Vance McDonald was going to be able to help wagon the load here. And not really much happened in that regard. So I think that's what it was. You had to readjust. And I just think he felt the pressure of having to deal with talent here on that. So, in regards to that, like when you go back to the comments earlier by Watt and Edmonds, yeah, I mean, I agree with the part that they need a shutout. That is definitely a must. If you want to be a great defense, put a stamp on your dominance, you definitely want to have some zeros once in a while. It's been a long time. And right now, let's get into some interesting fun facts here. Oh, and by the way, some birthday shout-outs. By the way, first and foremost, number 1, yesterday, as a matter of fact, Jerome the Bus Bettis, who actually just had his birthday recently, he actually turned yesterday 48 years old. So happy belated birthday to our guy, Jerome the Bus Bettis. Awesome birthday, my man. Hope we can get in touch one day. Would love to have you on the podcast. Love to pair up with you one day. But yeah, I mean, what gets any better, I mean, than that when you think of a guy like Jerome, Bettis. I mean, there's one thing that comes to mind when I think of this guy here. And of course, if you remember that voice, that was James Ferrier during the playoff run when the Steelers were taking on the Colts right there. And I think it was also the game against Chicago when they made that 4-game winning streak, and plus the 4 games they won in the playoffs to win the 5th for the fun, the 1 for the fun year. And also, speaking of which, another birthday shout out today. So happy birthday to Hall of Famer and Super Bowl champion Jerome Bettis. And joining him, another Steeler on this day whose birthday was today, who actually just turned 72 years old. Hold on one second, guys. And also on this day in Steeler history, we also got a happy birthday shout out to the one and only Levon Kirkland. Levon Kirkland, if you remember, who for the Steelers, who actually made it with 2 Pro Bowls, 1 All-Pro, never won a Super Bowl with the Steelers. But for a guy like Levon Kirkland, who had an interesting career, most notably under Bill Cowher, who had a legit one, who his year right there, I mean, who did pretty decent with the Steelers and everything. Kirkland, he was the guy right there on this team who played with them. And Levon Kirkland, he wore number 99 for the Steelers. So happy right now, 51st birthday to him, Levon Kirkland. All right, now let's get ready to get into some other stuff right now. Real quickly, I want to just give a statement too here. This is also by Mike Roundtree. Mike Roundtree of KDKA Pittsburgh at CBS Pittsburgh. He had this to say in regards to Mike Tomlin, as regards not only that, but also too with Antonio Brown. But yeah, I think Josh Roundtree, who had an interesting decision listening, I guess, to Mike Tomlin. I guess he heard him on First Take. He says it's just hard to take these hot take shows seriously when they hear Mike Tomlin say the Steelers have no business interest in Antonio Brown and somehow come away from the interview thinking that the door is still open for Brown in Pittsburgh. I think for the personal side, yes. I mean, they're willing to do what they can to help this guy. As far as like being back in the team, no chance. I don't think so. All right, and right now let's get ready to get some stuff real quick. I know last week I mentioned was we get closer to the combine. I was talking a little bit about wide receivers. Let's get some running backs the Steelers could look into for the draft. And remember, the very first thing the Steelers look at, too, is you look at their draft positioning for 2020. Their first pick will be in the 2nd round, since they traded their first-round pick to the Miami Dolphins for Minka Fitzpatrick. And here we go. So at 49th overall in the 2nd round, the Steelers, who they could look to pick right now. And there's some decent guys real quick who come to mind that may drop to them if they could somehow get them on their wish list or see what happens. But I tell you, one guy who definitely looks decent right here, if they're able to find a way to get him, I'd probably say Jonathan Taylor right now from Wisconsin. He's got 968 total plays, 6,581 yards in a 3-year career, while he's rushed for 6,174 yards, rushing, averaging 6.7 on the ground, 56 touchdowns, 50 touchdowns on the ground and 5 through the air for a total of 55 scrimmage touchdowns. Another guy you can look at too on for the Steelers they could probably get that might be able to drop to him too is also Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And he is with LSU. This guy amassed 2,103 yards on the ground in his 3 seasons with the LSU Tigers, defending national champions, so of that luxury. But he's also got 2,698 yards on scrimmage with 24 touchdowns. So that's one guy to look out. And another guy you probably look at too is J.K. Dobbins from Ohio State University. I mean, this guy's got 5,104 yards scrimmage in 3 seasons and 4,459 yards on the ground. So that's one guy you may want to put on the wish list if they're able to get that lucky and have guys follow. Because so you're, I don't know, what do you guys think the first pick they should get? Do you definitely want to see him go running back, put a little bit extra pressure on James Conner and the guys that get on there, like a Jalen Samuels or Benny Snell, Trey Edmonds? I think Benny Snell is going to be fine. I think he's going to be the one guy who's going to want to take it to a whole nother level with his team. He's got a lot of hunger for wanting to carry the torch for some reason, if you ask me. And also, too, let's also get into right now some news in the AFC North. This came from Browns from their website. They have released right now and terminated the contracts right now of 4 players. Those guys they have released right now is quarterback TJ Carey, tight end Demetrius Harris, guard Eric Kush, and last but not least, linebacker Adarius Taylor. TJ Carey, he joined the Browns in 2018 as an unrestricted free agent, played in all 32 games, 14 starts, manufactured 125 tackles, 12 pass deflections, 3 forced fumbles, 2 interceptions, 2 fumble recoveries, and 2 sacks. Then you also had Demetrius Harris, the tight end. He joined the Browns in 2019, just like guard Eric Kush, and of course, linebacker Adarius Taylor. Harris, he played in 15 games, started 16. He caught 15 passes for 149 yards, 3 touchdowns. And of course, you got Eric Kush, who played in all 16 games last year as guard. He had career high 7 starts at right guard. Then there is Taylor, who joined in 2019 as an unrestricted free agent, 50 games, recorded 8 special teams tackles. So if anything, that's one guy I probably look at right there, paying what the market is for him. But yeah, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on that. Is that someone the Steelers could probably try and pick up if you're a trade or, a free agency right now since they're released? You guys see anyone out there you like, someone the Steelers could use? I'll be honest, I'll probably say one guy on special teams you could probably use. I'll probably go with Darius Thomas. Darius Taylor. Probably be one guy if you ask me. Not so sure the tight end's going to help much, but you need a little bit more better than Vance McDonald, in my opinion. Vance McDonald can only last so long. He's probably got one more good season, maybe 2. This might be his last season, if you ask me. But T.J. Watt, who has been definitely Vance McDonald, who's definitely been hanging around the block right now. Vance McDonald, who right now has got 2 more years left on his contract. He'll become an unrestricted free agent after the 2021 season. So we definitely got him through 2021. But keep in mind the cap hit for this year and next year, he'll be accounting for $7.13 million in 2020 and $6.23 million in 2021. So again, 7.13 in 2020 and 6.23 in 2021. Those are the cap hits for Vance McDonald. And now let's get ready to get into some fair or foul right now. Fair or foul topic number 1. James Conner. Steelers eventually will cut him. I'm going to have to say fair. There's been talks right now. Le'Veon Bell, believe it or not. He seems happy in New York where he's playing at, but so much more as far as like the Jets organization. And let's be honest, his head coach Adam Gase is not really, I think, too comfortable with him being paid that much. I mean, Le'Veon Bell, who's been signed controversially to a 3-year contract, not really too many teams were willing to like snip him when he returned to the league in 2019 after taking a whole year off. For the Jets, he is going to be accounting for a $17 million cap hit this season. So the only question is right now, because you got a guy with Le'Veon Bell who's got right now, he's basically got 3 years left on his deal before he becomes an unrestricted free agent. I mean, with the Jets, and he'll be an unrestricted free agent in 2023. So, I mean, but the potential out is in 2021. And because I think because that's where he signed that 3-year deal. But what do you guys think? Do you see a situation working out where the Jets will be willing to pay a big portion of Bell's contract, and the Steelers may decide to get a look at him, get him on a cheap deal? Because honestly, I'm not going to lie to you. Bell wasn't all that bad when he was playing in Pittsburgh. This guy was just wanted his contract, wanted his guaranteed money. He got a guaranteed contract. But again, people may say, well, what's the price to pay when you have like a locker room? They finally start getting fed up with it. I'll tell you what, if people are so willing to think about Antonio Brown possibly coming back to the Steelers, you got to leave the door open for Le'Veon Bell as well. I don't want to do that, but I mean, at some time, I think you got no choice in the matter. You have to look at all options right there, but you definitely have to patch things up and talk. Right here, I got David Batts here on the Man Steel podcast. Thank you very much for joining right now. He is saying the Steelers should try and get David Njoku. And let's see who this guy is right here. Looks like he's in college. Let's see if we can pull him up right here. Very much. I appreciate your comment, Dave. Trying to find him out. Trying to see who this guy is. He is a tight end. This is a report that was written by FS Flip Fisher. David Njoku right now. I mean, tight end Vance McDonald was one of the biggest salary cap casualties of the Pittsburgh Steelers, but suggesting the former right standout for Cleveland Browns tight end David Njoku makes sense. And they're saying right now, 3 seasons with the Steelers, a 7-year pro in Vance McDonald. He's missed 9 of possible 48 regular season games. Not surprising with its length, injury, real history. But some parts are his salary and his production in 2017. Now, the thing is, like I said, you got to remember, just to recap for people with Vance McDonald. Excuse me, everybody. But remember, for Vance McDonald, this year, he's going to be accounting for a $7.13 million cap hit and $6.23 in 2021. I think that's worth a shot. But again, if Vance McDonald could still stick around, he can find a way to still be healthy, I'd still take on someone that's more durable. I'm not so sure about Njoku in my opinion. I just think Vance, I'll give him the edge in this regard, only because he's still more physical and durability. I think Njoku right now, who with the Browns, I mean, he's had a decent year. I mean, the highest he's ever caught was 639 yards and 4 touchdowns, which is his career high in his rookie and his second season. I mean, Vance McDonald, on the other hand, too, I think this is a guy right here who could still get more yards after catch. I mean, Vance McDonald, I think, puts up a little bit, somewhat comparable numbers, but he's more durable. And I just rarely have someone. I think the only thing is the only logic you're probably looking at, if you're looking at a younger option, Dave, that's the only thing I can think of. Now let's get back in the fair foul right now. Last topic right now, as we look at here, Antonio Brown will be able to find himself back in the NFL. And fair foul, if it's a bad look for him showing up at the combine, I'm gonna say definitely fair too, because the only problem I had a good friend of mine. His name's Terrell, and he told me yesterday. One thing you gotta look at, Terrell Barnes. He's one of my friends. Check him out on Facebook and Instagram. Diehard Steelers fan. We were talking about this yesterday. Why would you want to show up during guys who are trying to make impressions on scouts and make a team, or trying to get qualified for the draft, be draft eligible? And that's the thing. I mean, well, not just draft eligible, but try and make a team. You're kind of taking away from their moment in a way. I think you'd be doing this at another time. I mean, remember, this is a guy who still calls himself Mr. Big Chest, which I still think he's definitely off his rocker. But again, we'll see. But that's one thing you got to think about. It just looks bad timing. I'm not sure if I would do it. But that's going to come to the end to this edition of the Mass Steel Podcast. Just want to say thank you for those of you tuning in. You always catch me Mondays and Wednesdays here at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. I usually try and keep it to a half hour, well, a little bit longer today. But I may go over a few times too. So I may do like close to an hour every once in a while like I did today. But I say thank you for those of you tuning in. Remember, Mondays and Wednesdays, 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. You can follow me on Twitter at Prodigy Richey, at Masteel CJR, at On Deck CSR. I mean, at Masteel CJR for my Masteel Podcast Twitter. You can also check me out on Instagram, Masteel Nation, Mixcloud, Charles the Prodigy Richey, my YouTube channel, Masteel Podcast. And we're just having some more fun right now with this off season. I'll give you some more prospects we'll go over going to the combine. They'll be on the Wednesday show. I'm going to try and switch it up. We'll take a look at tight ends next. And also, too, I mean, since we're getting into it, I mean, with the combine, let's also take a look at some outside linebackers. Have a plan B option if the Steelers tag Bud Dupree. Oh, and by the way, before I just reminded myself right now, here's the answer to the trivia question that I threw out there earlier today. When was the last time the Steelers had a shutout under Mike Tomlin? And they had multi-shutouts in that same year. You want to know the answer? That year was 2011 for the Steelers, and where they shut out both the Seattle Seahawks. They shut out on their home opener in Pittsburgh. That one was a 24-0 trouncing in Heinz Field. And then the last one was on Christmas Eve, which was played on a Saturday, 27-0 over the St. Louis Rams. And that's going to do it for this edition of the Masteel Podcast. Like I said, thank you for those of you taking the time to join in. And I look forward to seeing you guys throughout the week. I'll keep you up with a little bit more tweets and be a little bit more active. As always, leave you. Don't be trolling. Be rolling. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. I gone.